Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. As the preview for, it's mad, every single game that we think, okay, maybe we are starting to get on the right track, boom, we turn a corner and it's the wrong corner and we find ourselves having to repeat the same phrase. It's a must-win game. So welcome to another must-win game preview, where this time it's between Chelsea and Brighton. Brighton, out of all clubs, the time where the pressure has reached a peak is against Brighton. This club that have taken 115 million or 110. We bought Caicedo for 110. 110 million from us for Caicedo. They said that they had the last laugh with that. That remains to be seen because Caicedo, for the money spent, I think with time might turn out to be a top player. We know this. It's Caicedo. And Brighton can't exactly say anything wrong about Caicedo because he done very, very well for them. But Brighton, of all clubs, I hope this isn't going to be a thing where tomorrow we finish the game, we're doing the watch long as well, so make sure you guys are here for that. And by the end of it, we find ourselves going absolutely mental at the fact that Brighton have come and done us over and in our backyard at a time where we have to win. And I'll explain why in a sec. But it's crazy. Normally, I would come into a game like this on paper. Even on paper, you look at this and you think, nah, Chelsea surely will get 3 points here. And I'd like to think that, yeah, the quality that will show up and then we'll pick up 3 points. And that's definitely a possibility. But we can't shy away from what isn't going in our favour right now and isn't going in our favour for what I agree with Poch saying yesterday is the problem is with us. It's not about who we're facing or who we're coming up against. It's us. We need to look internally. We need to look within. And I think today, more than ever, we need to look internally because we'll get into what's gone down today. We'll get into it. Now, before we get cracking properly, do not forget to make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button on here in order to catch all the content as it drops. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. On top of that, be here for the watch long tomorrow as we do watch Chelsea versus Brighton live together, and we will see how it all goes down. Fingers crossed, because as I've said, the pressure is at its peak right now. It's at its peak. We have entered December. We are 10th. And if you look at exactly what the points are saying, why it's make or break is because we are 10 points away from 5th, we're 12 points away from 4th, and we're only 4 points away from 16th. I am not going to do this for a second season in a row where we find ourselves mid-table, we find ourselves bottom half of the table, in 15th, 16th again, and we just go, it's okay, it's not okay. And we urgently need to start telling ourselves that it's not okay. Because even in a rebuild, in a process, even that level, that low is unacceptable. There is no excuse. Rebuild, no rebuild, process, no process, whatever it is you want to call it, there is no excuse for being bottom half of the table. No excuse. Arsenal in their rebuild found themselves 8th. Liverpool, when they first got Klopp in, they found themselves in their rebuild, they were 8th. Yeah, they were lingering in and around that margin, 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe 9th, come back up to 8th, and then they would finish 8th. We are currently 10th, and we just look like we're going further down and down and down. We are like if you follow the stock market, Forex, crypto, whatever, if you know when you get a chart, a trading chart, and then you see that there's a downtrend, yeah? It has its moments where it pops up a little bit, but then it continues to go down. The downs are a lot more substantial than the ups. That is where Chelsea are right now. We've had 1 win in 5. We lost our last game criminally. Against Newcastle. That was, without question, the worst performance of the season. And you'd like to think that there would be a spark lit up, you know, to get the players going and to get the players knowing that this is unacceptable. We need to wake up. But like I've said, and why I think it's more common now that people are saying this more and more, is we genuinely do lack leadership in this team, in this squad, and at this club. We lack example. We lack pedigree. We lack consistency as a result of that. We are super inconsistent. And is that going to just click overnight? Unfortunately, no. We need to, and I think, look, we need to get to January to then change our strategy, to change our model, to change what we're doing, because this can't continue, right? The young players and who we've brought in, absolutely fine. absolutely fine for the talent that they possess, but they need refining. They need refining, they need to be taught, they need examples, they need someone that's going to steer them in the right direction. And it's not just solely on the gaffer. He can only do so much on the pitch in terms of setting the example in training, on a match day, playing alongside that teammate and being, okay, that's the level. Poch isn't going to come on the pitch and do it for you. Poch can only talk. Poch can talk and try and show in training, but at the end of the day, the players do need some senior example that is going to be there to set the level. That way, the young players know what bar they have to try and reach. Right now, there is no bar. It just seems like there's the young players that have one good performance, 3 bad performances, one good performance, another 2 bad performances, and that's okay because that's what they can do. No, it's not good enough. So we have to change that strategy. But in the meantime, I worry that we're going to keep seeing little bit of up, more down, little bit of up, more down, and that's just going to keep going. Now, this month is a ruthless month of 7 matches, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 8? Or maybe 9. I need to, actually, you know what? Let's check. For this month, we are starting. Tomorrow is going to be first game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games this month. We were operating on a 1 match per week schedule and struggling with that. We had Newcastle that beat us 4-1 3 days later with injuries and the same team that they put out against us, including the Miley Cyrus who they put out, respect to Miley, top 17-year-old, who's being shown example, put in a clinic, great performance against PSG, got robbed in the 95th minute. Brighton were in Europe. They were in Greece just 2 days ago, right? In Greece, playing against AEK Athens, 1-1-0. They had injuries. They've got 10 or 11 guys out, right, for this game tomorrow against Chelsea. They won 1-0. They're through to the knockout stages of the Europa League. They've flown all the way back. Now they've got to come to Stamford Bridge and try and do a number. Do not be surprised. But there's no excuse for us. We had 2 days off after being battered to Newcastle. We have been in training since. No disruption, no travelling, no nothing, right? We've got no excuse. And we've got less injuries than we had before. Despite, it does look like Nkunku and Lavia are not going to be playing tomorrow. It does look like that's not going to happen. There seems to be a late assessment that has been done, I think, yesterday. But we've got no confirmation in terms of what's going on. When you normally hear that sort of thing, it tends to be they don't get involved. At best, Nkunku is on the bench and comes on for 10 minutes. At best, I don't expect anything more. So just in your heads, just put it down as they're not available. Man United, I think they both will be on the bench, at least in a capacity. But for tomorrow, I don't see it happening. Now, the big elephant in the room is the mentality, the discipline, the lack of leadership, and just us going game by game with the same mistakes popping up left, right, and centre. And we need players that are going to take accountability, responsibility, yeah? Going to make sure that they put everything and all focus into trying to turn this around. Today, we had an incident. I'm not going to get into too much detail because of the audience that might be watching. I can't get into too much detail because of the nature of it. It's as simple as that. Everyone knows that what went down, knows what I mean. I don't even want to promote the other person in question, if we want to call it that. But Nicolas Jackson, right, has been how can I put this? Look, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. But what I'm going to say about that very briefly is Nicolas Jackson, right? Not just him, any of these young players need to know who they are associating themselves with. It's as simple as that. You know, the other person in question who has caused this madness, right? Everyone knows what they're going to get from a person like that. Everyone knows. Everyone knows what they do for a living. Everyone knows what they try and promote. Everyone knows what they try and get, just attention by any means necessary. If Nicolas Jackson is naive enough, and don't try and say that he didn't know who she is. Everyone knows who she is and the nature, right? People are acting like she's the only female on the planet. Let's have it right. That's not the case. So Nicolas Jackson needs to be logical, needs to be wise, needs to not be stupid in doing unnecessary things, especially at a time right now where Chelsea are a mess and there isn't anyone leading by example. People are going to reference JT and other players in the past, and rightfully so. What they've done, if we take JT by an example, who cheated on his missus all those years ago, absolutely wrong. And I'm shocked that eventually his missus took him back. I'm shocked at that. But the thing of back then is it was a separation between what they were doing on the pitch and off the pitch, because on the pitch, they were killing it. It was at a point where they were undroppable. They're undroppable. JT, Lamps, Didier, Cech, Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole's another one, right? But they were undroppable. They just knew that from day one, they were bringing a level. So on a footballing level, no one had a thing to say. Their private life after that, clearly what they were doing in their private life wasn't affecting what they were doing on the pitch. And that's the difference. Now here with Nico, you need to be more focused in terms of trying to turn this around and making sure that your career is going to be working at a certain level, at a certain standard. And you need to get better and better and start thinking on that. Instead, he's putting himself in a situation where he's going to get manipulated by this person in question, because everyone knows what she is about, right? Everyone knows. You don't need a rocket scientist to know how she is and has the capabilities to manipulate you, right? And get what she wants from it, which clearly she has, because the attention and the news and all of that that's gone on today has been absolutely incredible. She's got what she wants, her promotion, fantastic. But Nico is the one that's going to deal with the consequences. He had the chance to avoid that completely. He had it. So this is where, for tomorrow now, it's going to bring into question. I had Nico Jackson starting for tomorrow, if I'm being completely honest, even though a lot of people seem like they didn't, just for some sort of consistency. Because chopping and changing isn't going to help. Let's be honest. Chopping and changing every single week is not going to bring any level of consistency. Even if we have a bad game. But players need to have a run. They just need to have a run. Okay, so when you bear that in mind, but after today, there has to be one change. Now, if we're talking about the defence and we're talking about what we actually have to change, it's Reece James, Cucurella being suspended because of the suspension that they picked up against Newcastle. Reece James, needlessly, stupidly, and again, we're talking about stupid, unnecessary things. This is the problem at this football club right now, is there is too many errors being committed just for no reason. For no reason. That's going to give consequences to Chelsea. That's going to hurt Chelsea. That's going to hurt what we're trying to do. It's a mess. So Reece James, club captain, is suspended for tomorrow in a game where we do need him, because he picked up 2 stupid yellows against Newcastle. Cucurella decided to open his mouth after Reece James got sent off, and he got booked, and therefore he's suspended. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So because of that, we need to play tomorrow with, I think, a flat back 4 of centre-backs. Or we go fully experimental. And I saw Matisse earlier on decided to put Conor Gallagher at right back. We've got other people putting Disassi at right back because it doesn't seem like there's a choice. We've got conversations about Caicedo possibly going at right back. I mean, it's an experiment. And I don't blame any one of the ones that I've mentioned or any opinion in terms of who's playing tomorrow in the back line, because there's nothing else that we can do. So this is what has cost us. Now, tomorrow we need to think about how to deal with Brighton's attack, despite their injuries, with the fact that we've not got a fullback. Except one. And we're going to come to that. Ian Maatsen is in question, but he won't play tomorrow because he's heading out the club. We know this. Another one that we know is definitely going is Trevor Chalobah. He could be at right back tomorrow, but he won't be. He's not even in the squad because we know he's leaving in January. And a lot of people are going to say it's unfortunate, it's sad how this has all gone down. It is. It is. So let's get into the starting 11 and let's see exactly what's going to happen. And I'll dissect this as we go player by player. So without a doubt, without further ado or waiting any longer, let's get into it. Here's the starting 11. I'm going to show you off the bat, right? We're not going to waste time. Sanchez in goal. And listen, the last time Sanchez played against Brighton, he was moving mad. Yeah, and we started to see that it looked like he forgot he was playing for Chelsea and he thought he was playing for Brighton. None of that. None of that tomorrow. None of that. So hopefully he puts in a good performance. The back 4, this is what I can do. Maatsen, I would actually play at left back. But he's not in the squad. We know he's not going to be used. He's going to be sold in Jan. So I think that's one wrong thing there. I would play Maatsen tomorrow, but I don't think he's going to get a sniff in. Instead, Levi Colwill, I think, is going to be the left back. So that's one. Right back, sorry, I was heading over there. Right back, Disassi, because I don't think there's going to be anyone else that Potter's going to turn to. And I am a bit concerned with Disasi at right back, but rightfully so, there isn't anyone else that we can really put there. Some people are saying put Caicedo. I think that's just going to jeopardise the midfield. So who are we going to play in midfield? Ugochukwu? Nah, come on. Lavia's not available yet. If not, I would probably entertain it. But no, Caicedo needs to play alongside Enzo. Those are the two central midfielders that we absolutely need. So Disasi has to go at right back, and I worry about what can happen on that right-hand side, Brighton's left-hand side. So we'll pay attention to that tomorrow on the watch-along. Centre-backs, it's the other two, Thiago Silva and Badiashile. Thiago Silva, I honestly think what we saw against Newcastle was one mistake from a player like Thiago Silva, and I don't think we're going to see a mistake like that anytime soon. Just very, very, very poor timing from a senior player like him. When it goes wrong, and it just gets even worse. When it rains, it pours. That's the sort of thing that we saw from Thiago Silva last week. Badiashile, similar situation here. I hope he doesn't put in a bad performance like he did against Newcastle, because that wasn't good enough. So there we are. That's the back four. The central midfielders, Enzo and Caicedo. Ahead of them, Gallagher. And to be honest, I think Gallagher there is probably going to at least help us in some sort of capacity, or it should. I thought it would be that against Newcastle, but we didn't see that. So against Brighton, where we know they're not going to be sitting back, you'd think that maybe a little bit of an aggressive press might be able to win us the ball up top, and Conor Gallagher comes in handy there, but we'll wait and see. And the front three, look, Cole Palmer on that right-hand side. I know people are calling for Cole Palmer to move into the middle, not play Gallagher and play Mudryk instead. I would rather go with this. At least, look, front, in terms of the wings, Cole Palmer and Raheem Sterling lately, we've not got a bad word to say about them. So they keep exactly where they are right now. I wouldn't move that. Like I said, I go back to that point of not chopping and changing too much. Leave those two exactly where they are, because even the last game, Sterling scored that bang over free kick against Newcastle. On his side, he wasn't a disaster. Not good enough, because no one was good enough. But I would keep that exactly as it is. I would keep it there. So Palmer and Sterling there. Now, Nicolas Jackson, like I said, I would have actually played today and not Broja, because I think that becomes too experimental. But he's not helped himself. He can't play tomorrow. And I'll tell you why. Because if he plays tomorrow and he puts in a stinker, he's finished. He puts in a stinker tomorrow after what has gone down today. That's it. It'll be very, 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 very difficult for him to recover from that anytime soon. So you know what? I wouldn't take the risk. Put him on the bench. Give this whole saga some time to settle. Let the dust settle. Yeah? Let people begin to forget about it, because people will forget about it eventually. And then reintroduce him to the side when people are going to be more focused on the football that Nicolas Jackson provides, and not his antics at midnight, in the middle of the night. That is what needs to be done right now. So Broja, I feel like, needs to come in. He has to come in for tomorrow. Like I said, it's a risk. But it's a risk, I think, that has to be taken for Nico's sake. Like I said, I would play Nicolas Jackson tomorrow, but for his sake, don't play him tomorrow. Don't play him tomorrow. Because we can't take that risk of him putting in a stinker and then it's going to make everything 100 times worse. It's just, the damage is already done for what happened today. Just put him on the back burner for a little bit and just let people forget about Nico for a little bit. And then later on, right, in 2 games' time or something, if we're going to reintroduce him, we reintroduce him. When all of this dies down, we reintroduce him. But that's going to turn to to Armando Broja. Armando Broja is going to be the one to step in tomorrow, because there isn't anyone else we can turn to up front. And I'm hoping that he does and steps in and does a job. If Poch plays Jackson tomorrow, if I see in the lineup Jackson is starting tomorrow, I'm going to do this. And we will just wait and see what happens, because I will be, and you'll see on the watch long, I will be on the edge of my seat, praying that he gets a goal, praying that he scores, praying that he does something right. Because if he doesn't, you just know what's going to happen. So, look, like I've said, for Nico Jackson, he needs to reflect on himself. right? And understand that he needs to have better standards in himself, right? And what he decides to put himself in, what situations he puts himself in, what conversations he puts himself in, and which people he associates himself with. He needs to be careful because he's not just some average Joe, much like anybody who's just free to do whatever the hell they want at any given time. He's a footballer playing at a club like Chelsea with an image on and off the pitch. And on the pitch, it's not working at the moment. So don't jeopardize what you're doing off the pitch to make what you're doing on the pitch look even worse. That's why there's a big issue with this that we've seen today. That's why. And rightfully so. He can do what he wants in his spare time. I can completely agree with that and understand. And he's free to talk with who he wants and everything. But you need to understand who you're talking to. This is the problem. Understand who you're talking to, who you're associating with, which conversation you're having with. That you need to be careful. Everyone and their mother knows what that person was capable of. And look what's happened. Yeah? It took one live stream that he didn't know that he would be on, and boom. But if you remove yourself in the instance from even talking with a person like that, you don't run the risk. So you got to be wise. You got to know. You got to look 2-3 steps ahead. When you're at that level, you have to. That's your image. You have that profession. You're at a club like Chelsea. You got to be careful. It's as simple as that. But I don't put solely all of this on Nico Jackson. There isn't any example that we have in this squad or pedigree or senior figures in this squad that is setting the bar right now in terms of discipline and maturity and mentality on and off the pitch. There's none. So I'll go back to this. If Chelsea were killing it on the pitch right now and he was killing it on the pitch right now, what happened today probably wouldn't have been much of an issue. But we know that off-the-pitch antics can affect you on the pitch if you're not delivering. And that's what now I think everyone is scared of and why it's become such a big issue. And he has to be careful. He has to be careful. Unfortunately, he wasn't. And look at the consequences. And for that, for me, he doesn't play tomorrow. Broja does. And we'll see what happens in terms of Broja and his performance if he does get ahead of Jackson. I worry that Poch will play Nicolas Jackson, if I'm being honest. I think Poch will start him. And we'll wait and see. But like I said, if he does, I pray that he has a banging game. I pray. Because now there isn't a choice. It's a must. He has to. As we've seen Saeed and all the others and the big six going, you must. Well, Jackson, tomorrow, if you're playing, you must. There isn't any other way here. Because that's the only way to silence everything and bring it all down. So let me know your thoughts on the starting 11. What will you do? Let me know in the comment section below. And this is what I think is going to happen tomorrow. That is my starting 11. Now, before we get into the prediction, I'm going to tell you guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified once I have uploaded. Tomorrow's a watch along. Make sure you're there for that. And don't forget to check out Shootout. Link is in the description where me and George give you our Premier League predictions for this weekend. So make sure you leave us yours over there. My prediction for tomorrow, I'm going to stick with what I said on Shootout. I am going to go Chelsea 2, Brighton 2. And that doesn't do any good for us, if I'm being honest, but I'm going to tell you what I legit think is going to happen. I think there will be goals. I think the fact that Brighton have a lot of injuries, well, should go in our favour. It didn't go in our favour when Newcastle had loads of injuries, but it should go in our favour. Anyway, we'll see what happens. However, I do think that their goals are going to come from our flat centre-back back four. We are going to be open in defence. And we've not been tight in defence, even with fullbacks. We've been letting in a lot of goals, so I don't feel like tomorrow's going to be any different. I think Brighton are going to be up for it. I think Brighton know they can do us damage. But I do think that we will have enough up top to get a goal or two. And that's why I am going with a 2-2 draw. But I'm going to stress, tomorrow, I hope my prediction doesn't happen. We have to win. We have to. Because the next game is Man United at Old Trafford. And as much as they're in the mud, somehow, I don't know how they do it, but, I mean, they didn't lose against Galatasaray. They got a 3-3 draw. They threw it away, but they got a 3-3 draw. And now they're being knocked out the Champions League, even though mathematically it's not done yet. But in the league, they just somehow pick up wins. Despite horrible performances, they don't do much, but they get the 1-0. And You worry, going to Old Trafford in a big game like that, they'll be up for it. Our record over there has not been good. We need to set ourselves up. You see, we don't look like we look 2 or 3 steps ahead. We always just look at the here and now, here and now, here and now. And we're so obsessed, and then we drop points, and then we forget about what's coming after. Okay, now we got to do that game. Now we got to have that game, that opponent. And it's going to add on and add on and add on. We need to pick up a win tomorrow. If we don't, I will tell you now, I worry the season is over. Because what does season over mean? Well, it means not getting European competition, as far as I'm concerned, right? And I'm saying European competition. At the start of the season, you would think the aim would be to try and reach the Champions League. But this squad has not been set up. Hindsight is 2020. Now we actually look at what this team has actually done. You can see that this squad has not been set up to get Champions League football. It's just hasn't. As much as we all got carried away with signings and 100 million here and 100 million there, and oh my God, dopamine hits. Yes, we're gonna cook, right? People have this assumption we're gonna cook in 3 or 4 years' time. But as of now, this squad has not been set up to go and qualify for the Champions League. It just hasn't. So this is why I'm saying, look, it's a must-win. If we even want to think of getting European competition, we're in December. We're that far off already. You slip up again, teams are just gonna fly away. They're just gonna fly away. Because it's not in our hands, it's in the others. And they're winning games. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let me know your predictions down below, how you think it's all going to go down. And I will see all of you tomorrow on the watch along. Make sure you are here for that. We'll be here an hour before kickoff. So make sure you're here, 1 p.m. UK time. And I will see all of you then. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one, people. See you tomorrow. Take care and peace.